Guys, if you can't laugh at yourself, check this out. I buried that axe up to where it can't get any farther buried. So I've taken the chainsaw and cut away that log on both sides, actually. Don't know if you can see that or not. Yep, I think you can see it there. It still won't come out. What? Ain't no love in Hooterville. This morning, just to truly show you what kind of day it was going to be. So I went over, helped my buddy out to move his chicken coop. That's the heaviest damn chicken coop I ever seen in my life. So his tractor couldn't lift it. He said, well, maybe mine could. My tractor couldn't lift it. I don't know what the hell that thing's made out of, but neither tractor could lift it. So we got the idea going that I would lift up the one end with the pallet forks that I have. He would put a chain to the other end, and he would lift it up and just pivot it so that we could just make it sort of, well, as he started moving it, it started sliding off the pallet forks because, of course, they're steel, it's metal, no real friction there. So I started moving forward, and as it started to get closer to the end, of course, it started pivoting, and his land, of course, is attached to my land, so it's the same, contours, meaning very hilly. And it started to go with gravity to slide downhill. So, make a long story short, I don't know if it was because it slid far enough off that it touched the ground and just sort of tipped, or whether I lifted up instead of lifting down on the bucket. Anyway, make a long story short, end over end it went. Well, I can't say end over end. It toppled on its side with the chickens in it. Well, the hardiest damn things going are the chickens. They really could care less. When we opened the door up, they just looked at us like, what the hell are you doing? And they're, of course, standing on the side, which to them is now the bottom. Don't mean anything to them. The eggs survived, so apparently it was a pretty graceful rollover. We hooked it up with a rope, and we're able to tip it back over. It has a little bit of damage, but not a lot, frankly. Pretty sturdy. 1,000 damn pounds, it ought to be sturdy. More than 1,000 pounds. My tractor will lift. Oh, don't quote me on it, but I want to say it's 1270. It wouldn't lift it an inch. It'd lift one side of it, but it would not lift the whole thing even an inch. It would just, whoa. Oh, my brothers. Okay, so, and then I went to hunt ginseng. So I go scooting around. I've never seen ginseng. I don't know what the hell ginseng looks like, but I've got Google. Google showed me what ginseng looks like. So it's the 3 leaves with the 2 little leaves that kind of come out from the back. But I couldn't tell if they were attached from a single site or whether the 2 leaves were attached lower on the stem. And then it had to have at least 3 shoots. So that leaf cluster on 3 different stems. And so I found 2 in my app that I use all the time. Picture this. That's the name of it. That's not what I'm saying. It's a great app. It does everything. But for some reason, they don't put it on there, so it won't identify ginseng. So I take a picture of it, comes up. I don't know what this is. So I thought, so this is ginseng because it won't show it. So I found 1 plant, and I hunted all over. I'm looking for the red berries, right? It's like the 3rd of September, right? Isn't that when red berries are supposed to be on ginseng? No. Tennessee, there's tons of, it's $100 million industry in Tennessee. People picking ginseng on their own property. And then the state of Tennessee only gives 50 buyers, licenses for 50 buyers. So all of us, we pick ginseng and then we have to sell it to one of these 50 that I guess are in your local area. And then they're allowed to actually retail it or export it or do whatever they do with it. So, make a long story short, I ended up with 2 plants. Looked exactly the same. My app wasn't helping me. So I take these 2 little plants and I come up and I was down in the holler, right? So I don't have great reception down there. But it came up and said I don't recognize them. Anyway, I get up here and I turn the app back on. I take a picture of them. Comes up with some swamp hickory. Now you know what I'm talking about? Swamp hickory. That's what I picked. 2 of them. I nurtured those little things because I thought, you need a ginseng. They had the little bulb on them, right? And it wasn't big. It was a little bulb. No red berries in the whole damn holler, let me tell you that right now, because I hunted that son of a bitch. None. So the whole berry thing, I don't know. We rolled over a chicken coop with the chickens in it. We got swamp hickory instead of ginseng. And I have buried the axe to the hilt, so to speak, literally. And I can't even with a chainsaw get it out of the piece of wood. Well, I'll see you soon. Back at it. I showed you in the 5-minute shed, this right through here came the trench. Well, I hadn't really capped it off and finished it off at the top at the barn. So I did that. So in that, underneath me right now, we've got a blue pipe, which does well water, which is going down to the she shed. For cleaning the vegetables and stuff for the CSA. Then we have a white pipe. That is the rain catchment irrigation system. The very beginning of which is this ICS. So this white pipe here is going to connect the ICS to this white port that's on the shed right there. And then this will provide gravity fed. Up at the top here, I have about 16 degrees. And then as it gets further down, it goes up to about 20 some odd degrees of slope. What I end up with over the distance of the run and the drop was, these are off the top of my head, in the low 60s as far as pressure, but then I lost something 17 or 19 foot-pounds of pressure due to the friction of the water running through the pipe, which puts us basically, let's say for the sake of argument, in the high 40s, I believe. I think, standard from what the pressure I have at the house, not this house, the other house, is like 52, so not quite up to utility grade water pressure, but that should certainly be enough to run the sprinklers and certainly obviously the drip irrigation. I'm gonna have to actually have a governor on those to decrease that water pressure. Now this is a small ICS. It's only, I think it was 350 gallons. We are already talking about getting a 3,500 gallon tank and either putting it up here, either inside the shed or behind it, or maybe even in the ground. We're still doing research. If you have any thoughts on it, please comment, because the one thing I don't want to be doing is making mistakes, right, and unnecessarily. So anyway, the short of it is that I don't think I've shown you this before. Let's see here. This, obviously, the back side of this is a panel, power panel. And I cut that supply because Keith, who sold me the property, he said it's between 3 and 5 feet from the building. It comes and it turns and heads over towards the house. this pipe that power lines in. So I came out to 6 feet, dropped the ditch witch right on top of the power, and cut it. So anyway, it's in good shape now, but that now there's obviously kind of a power going down to the shed. I put this in today. That comes down across and then follows this trench, and then of course the 2 water lines. So that's looking pretty good. You know, I'm making fair progress. So now I have to make the second door for the barn doors down there, and then I have to hang you know, the rails and that sort of thing to install the barn doors. And I've already got the front door made, but I have to cut the hole for the door handle, obviously, and then I have to install that door. So, you know, 1,000 things every day that need to be done. All right, guys, the next chore for the day is sharpening the blades of the bush hog. So I got that tool. You know, I've been using wood blocks. Oh man, it was not working for me. So I got this tool. It's really for a smaller deck, but it works on this. It holds it, you know, well enough that it doesn't turn when you're trying to grind it. So anyway, I put an edge on those 2. Site inspectors are here to confirm that all OSHA standards are being met. I'm lucky I've got this little pad right in front of the barn, and then it's got a good drop off there that I can get right up underneath that with no problem, easy. And then just using an angle grinder. Also grease the tractor. Yeah, greased all the zerts on the bush hog, the loader, and all that sort of thing too. All right, now I'm gonna go and cut some wood. Yeah, I gotta buck some up because I've split most of what I've got. Yeah, so following up on yesterday, laying out the orchard. See, this is key. You know, with the dually, I've got quite a wide stance. And we have got to be able to bring the tractor down through here to do maintenance of the pond and other things. And to even, I can do this part with the 0 turn, which will work, but I do have to do maintenance of the pond. I've got to have at least the ability to bring this tractor down. So we can kind of do it. It's more narrow, I think, up here, and maybe more of an opportunity to be wider down here. Maybe where we can push these things apart, because I don't know if you can tell, but this to this is much wider. Yeah, it's probably a good 5 feet wider than what I have up at the top because of the narrowing of sort of the chute. We'll let you know when we...